Welcome to the fifth section of the course. In this section, we are going to focus on some good recipes for building RESTful APIs with ASP.NET Core. In the previous section, we worked with Entity Framework Core and we built a simple to-do application. We will be based on that to expand and see some of the challenges with building RESTful APIs in ASP.NET Core, along with Entity Framework, of course. We will begin this section with a video about the startup class. The startup class bootstraps your web API. This is it. It's in the startup.cs class, and let us now see what it consists of. First of all, we have a public constructor that expects an argument called configuration. It's of type iConfiguration. This is an interface, and to keep this very simple, the configuration object allows access to some configuration details, and most importantly, it allows access to the app settings file that you can see right here. So if we add something like a custom configuration variable to our app settings file, we can come here like this and say that if, for example, we want to specify a timeout for a task and after which the task should be aborted, we could be able to grab the reference by using the getValue. So the getValue function is one of the functions that can be found in the configuration object, and it allows us to grab configuration details, including application settings defined in the app settings.json file. It's generic, therefore, if what you're looking for is not a string, you should provide the type argument. I'm gonna hit a breakpoint here. I'm gonna place a breakpoint on line 22 and run the server so that you can see how easy it is to retrieve configuration information about your application by using this object. So this triggers the browser. This weather forecast API that it's hitting is just web API template that can be found with Visual Studio Code, and you can see that the task timeout is correctly set to 5000. Now, let's move on to the next. We have this very important method, the configure services method. It's probably the one that you're gonna interact with the most, and it's the most important function that can be found in the startup class. This is where you register your services with the dependency injection container. So those are there, line 30, for example, the controllers are there because this was set up by the template by default, because we're using ASP.NET Core and it added those controllers for us. So it reads the controllers by using the controller decorator, the HTTP controller decorator that can be found, for example, here in the weather forecast. It's going to grab the API controller attribute, it's going to use it to register the controller. Therefore, you just have to decorate your controller with that. You don't have to come here and register every controller. Now, line 31, we built that in the previous video for adding the DB context to the dependency injection container. And then we have the configure method where you can set up middleware or additional details about your application. We're going to see more about this function when we get to the authentication part of the section.